Hey everyone, it's Suey here. Today I want to do a video that I'm a little bit nervous to do because I'm going to be talking quite a bit about myself and my life, just reflecting on things and trying to tie all that into books, and it makes me a little anxious and nervous. I don't prepare scripts, so I'm just kind of winging it. I do have a list, but that's a little different. So we'll see how it goes here. So this month, the month of November, I want to do some videos centering around a big birthday that I'm having. I'm creating an original tag for this birthday, so you can go and check that out and participate with me there if you would like to. I put that up this past Tuesday, or Tag Tuesday, so you can see what I am talking about there. As we get older and older, it's normal to sort of think back on our lives. Hopefully we can say we've done something. Hopefully we can say we've touched people's lives somehow or made a difference in the world. I don't know. I feel like getting older makes you think more about how close the end is and it sounds really morbid, if anybody will even remember who you are or what you've done or anything that mattered to you, will it keep going on after you're gone? And I feel like I'm having these thoughts a lot lately. And I don't know if it's just because I'm having this big birthday this month. Normally, I don't worry about birthdays very much. 50 is a big one. That one happened 10 years ago, and I don't remember feeling stressed about it. This one, 10 years down the road from 50, is making me feel a little more anxious and a little more like I'm running out of time. I feel like there's so much to do still. I just feel anxious about seeing the world, writing the books, trying to publish the books, connecting on BookTube, reading all the books, connecting with the grandkids, just everything that when you are on your deathbed, what will you look back on and wish you would have done more of? Or what would you look back on and wish you would have accomplished? I feel like those kinds of things are like really in my head lately, and it just really messes with you, I think. You have to live your life as if you never know when you're going to go, but it also kind of makes you anxious. That's the only word I can keep thinking of. Anxious about what you're doing. Is it worth it? Is it worth the time you're spending doing it? Is it what you should be doing? Yeah. So those are my thoughts about everything. But I wanted to do a few videos, like I said, surrounding this big birthday just to kind of help me process it. Okay? Kind of help me make it be a fun thing, a celebration, instead of like, oh my goodness, the end is coming. I am getting too old. You know what I'm saying? I kind of explained that a little bit in my tag video. But anyway, this video, I thought I would go through the different eras of my life book-wise and connect it to what was going on in my life and see how things have changed, how I have these different periods of reading and, kind of looking forward to what maybe might be coming in the future. A long time ago, this was before I even thought of this video, I've always thought of my life in these different sections, different eras. And I might combine a couple of them for the purposes of this video. So of course, the first era would be childhood, the little kid era. Yeah, let's call it. And I don't know for sure when that ends. In my mind, I kind of made it end in high school. Once I got to high school, which for me was 1982 when I arrived in high school. But for this purposes, I might try to think of high school kind of as my kid era too, right? Although my bookish life in high school was very different from my bookish life before that. So when I was a kid, and I've talked about this many times because we often do BookTube videos where we are sharing memories and our bookish memories and how we started reading and what made us become a reader. So that all happens when you're a kid, right? So I've talked many times before that my little kid book memories are always tied to Little House on the Prairie, which I don't even remember how I first got that book, if it was a Christmas book or something, but I think I only had the first one, Little House in the Big Woods, and then morphed into the rest of them fairly quickly after that, and I ended up with the whole set, the whole boxed set. I don't remember how I got that first book. Maybe it was even a book fair, Scholastic book fair, or book list, So speaking of the book lists that we get at our classroom, and then we filled out the orders and then sent them in, and then a few weeks later we would all get our books divvied out to us that we ordered. A lot of my favorite books came from that experience, but I don't remember what they all are. But Little House on in the Big Woods could have definitely been one of them. And I often talk about Nancy Drew, which was a big thing when I was a kid. Learning about Newbery Awards and the Newbery Award winners and honors was a big thing for me also when I was a kid. And then in high school, right around that time, I discovered Mary Stuart and the Merlin trilogy, which I really, really devoured. And I think it opened my eyes to like, wow, there is some amazing stories out there. And also in high school, during like English required reading, fell in love with Thomas Hardy. I can't remember when my Jane Austen love happened, but the Bronte sisters probably during high school, and probably Jane Austen during high school, or maybe a little bit after even with Jane Austen, I'm not sure. Charles Dickens during high school, all those classics that we all have to read in high school. I fell in love with all of them, but Thomas Hardy was an especial favorite. I don't know, maybe because I loved that dark angsty thing that was going on with him. I don't know. So that's one era, if you combine high school along with the little kid era. So in my mind, I have my little kid era, my high school era, and then I have the college era, maybe till about 1987, 88. And during that time period, I don't remember reading a whole lot of for fun books, but I could have discovered Anya Seton around that time. And perhaps Orson Scott Card, Ray Bradbury. I went through a lot of his. Now this kind of fades into when I first got married, my newlywed era, before kids happened. And that moves on till about 1989. So 88, 89, that time period, I remember going to the library a lot when we were first married. And I just remember going to the library and going to certain authors and just reading all of them. Kathleen Woodiwiss, is that her last name? She wrote pretty intense romances, historical romances. I read some of those, and I don't remember exactly what else, but I just remember that kind of idyllic time period before kids were born and after college, where I could just read whatever, guilt-free, I guess. It was a great time period. Then we have what I call my lost decade. Which is when the kids were born and I had little kids, and I don't remember really reading a whole lot. Although I know I did read stuff, but I really wish I would have started keeping track of what I read during this time period because it's a blur. I don't know what it was. So then I remembered, though, during the 90s, this is when we're talking during the 90s and the first little bit of the early 2000s, I was very involved at the school with running the book fair, the Scholastic Book Fair. For 10 years, I ran the Scholastic Book Fair when my kids were all in elementary school. And so whatever was big and popular with kids, that's what I was reading myself. And so Harry Potter happened in the 90s. Harry Potter, for sure, was a 90s book during that era for me. Also, I realized that during the 90s, Oprah started her book club. I looked it up. 1996 was when she started it. And I was a huge Oprah fan at the time. And when she started that book club, I thought, what a perfect, fabulous, amazing idea you've had. And I would get those books and I would read them without fail. For years, I did this and loved them, and then loved the discussions that she would have on her shows. And I don't know when I stopped, because at some point I stopped worrying about the Oprah books, but I probably did that for a good 5-10 years. I don't know. That was so much fun because at that point, I didn't have any in real life book friends to talk to. I felt a little anxious about talking to people about reading. And so it was a way to have a book club that I felt like I was part of. And then around the late 90s is when the internet happened. And I discovered AOL chat rooms where people were discussing books. And the whole world opened up to me. And I joined a couple of them. I think they were mostly classics. And so I just started devouring classics again. And so I remember doing that, late 90s, early 2000s for quite a few years. I don't remember any real specifics that I was reading. Somewhere along the line, people started talking about blogging. So for years, I was like, I should do a blog. I love to write. I want to talk about books. And nobody in my real life wants to really talk about them. And so maybe I should do a blog. And I thought about it for years, but I was too scared. But at some point, I think it was in 2006, I started blogging. And that was just a regular like life blog. And then 2007, I started book blogging. Book blogging era, a definite era in my life. 2006-ish. Through about 2016, even though I blogged. After that, I started another era. We'll get to it in a minute. You guys have already probably know what I'm talking about because I've talked about this so many times. That was a definite era, and I discovered so many books. This when I fell big and hard for YA books, along with everyone else because of the Hunger Games and Divergent and all those amazing books. And also, The Book Thief happened during that era. John Green discovered Brandon Sanderson, I think, during that era. I'm not sure exactly what year I found Brandon Sanderson. I'm guessing 2008 or 9-ish. Also, I realized there was an honor for young adult books called the Prince Honor, and I just started reading those one by one. I was up with all the things that were buzzy, especially YA books, though, during that whole blogging time period. And I just started reading everything, and I realized like I could just embrace the whole love of books, not try to hold back anymore. My kids were a little bit older by that time. Reading just was more easily done, I guess. I read more then than I do now. I don't know what's happened in my life exactly, but so that was my book blogging era. It was an amazing, amazing, amazing time to be a reader for me. Also during the book blogging era is when I discovered local authors, and we would go to the local author events and buy their books and talk about them. People like Ali Condi, James Dashner, J. Scott Savage, Brandon Sanderson I mentioned already, Kirsten White, Bree Despain, Brody Ashton. Some of you have probably heard of some of these, James Dashner and Brandon Sanderson. I'm sure you've heard of them. All these people, I would go to their events, talk to them, write about them, buy their books. That was all during this blogging era too. In 2016 is when I discovered K-pop. The very beginning of 2016. And if you look at my blog, you will see, also Goodreads, you will see that my reading was chopped right in half that year. And also the amount of blog posts I put up, chopped right in half. My life became all K-pop, and I started a K-pop channel. And so that is a definite another era that started in 2016 and lasted until this past year when I started pulling back from all of that. And I was still reading. I was still blogging. I started the BookTube channel during that era 3 years ago. And I don't know how to tie in books to K-pop, that it doesn't really tie in necessarily. I was just reading whatever people are talking about, the buzzy stuff, continuing the YA obsession. Do not feel like I've left that particular bookish era yet. I know a lot of people phase in and out of it, but I still feel like I am right in the middle of that one. So as far as books go, the blogging era and the K-pop era are about the same. The thing is, I feel like I am entering a new era right about now, maybe a little bit last year. Like all these eras, of course, are a little fuzzy. K-pop is not so much. I'm not doing that channel anymore. I am not keeping up on all the new releases anymore, backing off on the concerts that I'm going to. So what era am I jumping into next? Maybe this is part of why I feel a little bit anxious. I don't know what's next, but I feel like I'm leaving behind some of this other stuff. I'm in my BookTube era, I guess, because that's kind of a focus. And I would like to think that I'm in my author era, because if publishing does not happen in this next few years, I don't think it ever will. Like, this is the time now. If it's going to happen, it has to happen real soon. So I'm jokingly saying that I am in my author era. I saw a t-shirt that said, in my author era, and I wanted one so bad. So I might make one. So one of these days you might see me pop in with a shirt that says that, just so that I can pump myself up to be in this era. The book thing and the stuff that I'm reading, of course, will just stay the same as what I've been doing. So as far as books go, I don't feel like the era will change either. I just wanted to add that the era that I'm in now, only just maybe the author era, but also the grandma era. Even though my grandkids were born starting about 10 years ago, I feel like I'm in an era now where I am concentrating more on that aspect of my life. So I should mention that too. And I'm also hoping I'm getting to the era where my grandkids will be reading things that I'm reading, and we can discuss them. So maybe I'm getting into that era this next bit also. Just wanted to add that. I thought you would have fun seeing the different sections of my life, the way I think of it, the way things have changed over the years, and just as part of my celebration of getting older, trying to make it be a fun thing and not a depressing thing. Let me know if you feel like your life is in different chunks and different eras, and what books you associate with all those different eras, how your reading changed or your taste changed or circumstances changed. So you read different things, or you read more or less or whatever. If you want to join in the discussion, I won't call this one a tag necessarily, but if you want to have some sort of video that talks about your life in this same sort of way, that would be so fun for me to hear. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it doesn't seem like I'm talking about myself too much, pumping up my big birthday. Oh, it just feels weird. Until next time, happy reading.